All right, guys, we have some
breaking news. Breaking news.
It broke about an hour ago. I was kind of busy in other meetings for my day job because, yes, I have to have a day job because YouTube just does not pay all the bills. So I have to do other stuff too. But what I wanted to bring you guys is that there is breaking news. It looks like the whole entire scary ghost gun rule is going up to the Supreme Court. SCOTUS this morning has granted cert to the DOJ. They're appealing the Fifth Circuit decision on in the Vanderstock case,
which is the
frames and receiver case, which was out of Texas, filed by 80% Arms and a few others, including our friends JSD Supply. And I talked to some people involved, and they are very excited, and they are hoping that it's a good thing. Remember, if this gets knocked down, it's going to knock down a bunch of other rules, and it probably is going to send a shot across the bow of the ATF with other types of rules. So, yeah, that is what is going on. Vanderstock will be heard by the Supreme Court. A registration was issued. They filed for the DOJ is the one that filed for a writ. Right now, there is a stay on the Fifth Circuit's decision to basically do a PI on that. They
preliminary injunction. So yeah, we did this whole rabbit season, duck season thing.
Yeah. So finally solved.
So basically, let me make sure I understand this. Something like a polymer 80, basically Glock. This is all about Glock frames. This isn't about, or Glock clone frames. This isn't about any other, 80%er as far as the ATF rule is being applied. So right now, the Fifth Circuit, said
Court of Appeals out of New Orleans.
Okay, so Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals said, "Hey, man, you're good to go. Sell them things." And who put a stay on that?
The Supreme Court did.
Supreme Court put a stay on the sell 80%ers.
Yeah, it was what's called an administrative stay, which means we're not taking a look at it. We're not saying who has a chance to win. We're just doing an administrative stay to keep the status quo until we can decide whether to grant cert.
Okay. So basically, ATF said, "Hey, we're taking our ball from the Fifth Circuit, and we're going to appeal to the ATF."
Yeah. Jordan wants to know any word how long it typically takes. It was granted cert now, so it'll probably be heard in the fall, and we'll probably have a decision by next spring.
Ouch. So we're talking like 9 months away.
9 to 12 months.
Man.
So
spring, summer, maybe. They should hear it probably in the fall. By June, we'll have a decision. It could be sooner than June. It could be, but by June.
So if we say, man, that's crazy. So probably over a year is what you're saying.
Not saying, I would say 9 to 14 months.
Man.
If they would have said, no, we're not going to grant cert, what would have happened was the injunction would have automatically kicked in.
Could it be interpreted that the only reason they would put an administrative stay on it and take it in at all is because they disagree with the Fifth Circuit decision?
It could be that way. It could they just, I mean, they could disagree with it, or it could be that they keep on seeing these cases coming down, frame fevers, pistol braces, all these rules that the ATF are making, and it could be that they're just saying, this is getting ridiculous. Let's just rule on this, and this is going to affect everything, and we don't have to worry about taking it up anymore.
I know one of the most difficult things to ever do is project or guess what's going to happen with court.
You know what I say about predicting what the
Oh,
Supreme Court's going to say.
for sure. And any case, I mean, we obviously were all surprised by what happened with Matt Hoover with CRS Firearms, right? I don't think any of us, most of us, did not expect that to go down like that. So I think
No.
I'm just wondering if there's, I just asked if it was possible, I guess anything is possible, but possible and probable are two different things.
Yeah, possible and probable are two different things, and we'll see what happens here. I have a good feeling about it, to tell you the truth.
Really?
But I could be wrong. It's just a feeling I get with like looking at some of the other rulings.
Okay. Have you talked to any other prominent attorneys about this announcement and gotten their impressions?
No,
Yeah, I was curious about that because I
was in a
absolutely,
meeting the whole entire time. I just
Oh,
got off the
okay.
meeting literally
All right.
minutes ago.
I absolutely do not have a good feeling about this, and trust me, my business depends on it going well, So
Well, we'll know more. The reason I get a good feeling about it is the Cargill case. I think it's going to go our way. I think we're going to get bad dicta out of it, but I do think it's going to be a ruling for Cargill.
And Cargill is bump stock or
Bump stock,
brace?
yeah.
Bump
Bump
stock.
stock.
So by looking at that, I think this will go our way, but who knows? Once the Cargill decision does come out, I think it's going to be a 5-4. It will let us know what's going to happen here.
Man.
I am marking the super chats. We'll get to them in a minute. Thank you so much, guys, for the super chats.
I wonder, I'm curious when everyone in the country that thinks like Gus is just going to stand up and say, no, you're not allowed to make your ridiculous rules into law without any legislation or any act of Congress. And we're going to stand up and dress in full kit and flood through the cities and say, you're not allowed.
Let me get a few of these knocked out here.
Yeah.
Baptism Fire, thank you for the 1 month membership. He says, hope everyone is well. I hope you are doing well too. Great looking beard there.
So for the real quick, for the people that don't know, Baptized in Fire is John Rice. John Rice was the member of he's a viewer of all of ours, obviously.
That's John Rice? Oh.
That's John Rice. His house burned down, and we were able to fundraise and help him. And clearly, he's had a shift. A lot of things change in his life, and now he's going by Baptized in Fire. And man, just shout out to you for having just such a positive attitude and doing what you're doing to
All right. It would have been better for everyone if the Supreme Court rejected taking it up and left the Fifth Circuit decision stand. Yeah, I can see what you're saying there. I mean, it could be better in the long run. This for the short term, it definitely would have been better. But for the long run, this might actually be the Supreme Court shooting a shot across the bow of the ETF. which might prevent other stuff in the future. So it depends on how you actually look at it.
Yeah.
You
I was
know?
thinking the same thing. That could be for the short term, could go in our favor and could get businesses back into, cranking out some product. But if the Supreme Court does land in our favor, it could be huge, even maybe for states that it could be huge. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, and again, politically incorrect mechanic with another $5 super chat. I 100% appreciate that. He says, hopefully the attorneys do much better arguing the case for homemade firearms than they did bump stock. That was painful. You got to remember the people. They're going to be like FPC lawyers, SAF lawyers, so they're going to be better than the bump stock thing. That wasn't brought by a gun group, so it's not like they really understand firearms. The attorneys that are going to be arguing this do understand firearms. They're good attorneys, and they specialize. That's all they do is firearms cases.
Mm.
So I think we're going to see a little better arguments, but even with the arguments, I still think we're going to pull out a victory in Cargill.
That would be excellent. Ooh, Saul to Paul. That's a dope username.
The ruling in Cargill will probably be out in the fall.
Okay, so we're looking at
Yes.
fall for Cargill, which is the bump stocks, and tax stamp time, OG tax stamp time, 9 to 14 months for frames and receivers.
So we'll see what happens here, but it could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got a chill. I'm like, it could be, frick yeah, we're all dancing in the street, or it could be, oh geez.
Yeah, it will be no. I'm just. It's not going to be anywhere in between. It is going to be exceptional or exceptionally bad.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to land anywhere in between because they put that stay on it for a reason, in my opinion. And I am by no means any type of leak. Clearly, if y'all watch any of my content, I am not an attorney. I think for them to put the stay on, the administrative stay on it, and for them to take the case, there's got to be a reason. And I think it's going to go either really great or really bad.
Don't read too much into the administrative stay.
I know. I'm trying not to.
Do not read too much into the administrative stay.
They probably did that, and they did it as an administrative stay, so it didn't impact they're thinking of going in this direction, or they probably just said, okay, this is getting out of control. This needs to stop, but we don't want to say that it's going to go in this person's direction or in this person's direction. So let's just put an administrative stay on it. Let's come to a final consensus on it. And
Alito issued the stay. And Alito is definitely going to rule against the ATF. I have no doubt in my mind about that.
Yeah.
So that's why you cannot read.
Alito's pretty based, right?
Yeah. What was going to happen is that if he didn't put the stay on, they would have all then went to one of the liberal justices that would have done more damage. So don't worry too much about the stay.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
the stay it's procedural.
I still will say that none of us ever know anything about what's going to happen in the court, especially SCOTUS. But yeah, I'm eager for all of these companies to get back into business, to get back into selling, privately manufactured precursor parts for people to build modern firearms in the privacy of their own home with zero governmental overreach. If that's the way this goes.
Yeah, so we'll have to say, but this is a C. But this is a big deal, and I think this is going to be something that is going to have rippling effects either way. If SCOTUS rules against this, basically all these new rules that the ATF is trying to do, or is, it's going to be dead. If it's not already dead by then, we're gonna know. We're gonna know when cargo comes out which way this case is going to go.
AZ, you heard that. And shout out the Road to Serfdom says, why are you still pretending we have a government? Look, I once was in a place that dark and that black pilled too, until I saw us actually making some forward movement. My question to you would be this: why do you think people of opposing beliefs from ours had gotten so far with legislation, with rules and laws? Because they fight, and because they, I'm just saying there's a chance, okay?
They want you to be apathetic, is what they want.
Yes, they want you to give up. They want you to say, well, all we have left to do is start lobbing some 5.56 rounds. Like, they want to provoke violence. They want, in my opinion, I'm not speaking for everyone's channel here. I think that don't abandon all hope, ye who enter.
Yeah, I mean, we got to stay civil and avoid kinetic action. That's a big deal. Like, we got to work through the legislative process on these things. We've got some great voices. We got some great organizations fighting for us, and like this lawsuit in particular, JSD is also there, and GOA supporting JSD on this, right?
No, this is FBC JSD. What JSD did is they did what is called a motion to intervene. They weren't originally part of the case, but they
Mhm.
filed a motion to intervene in the case, and that was done by JSD.
Mhm.
Now, do I know some of the people who represent JSD? Yes, I do. I'm just trying to fix my camera. Somehow I got like bumped. I definitely do know some people that represent JSD. I'm very close with some people that represent JSD. But JSD, they did a motion to intervene, and yeah, that's where they came in at. The original case is Black Hawk Manufacturing, which is 80% arms, and everything else. So we'll have to see.
Rich, you and I were having a conversation. Someone else said, but why?
Jennifer Van der Stock, Firearms Policy Coalition. There you go.
So OMG Rob says, but why? We all know where it will eventually lead. What's the point of keeping this charade going? How long was it that the founding fathers lived under tyranny before they
Oh
finally
gosh,
said?
I
Like 70 years?
yeah, it's about 70 years. Yeah, that's
And
full.
they tried every single possible way. And then they finally said, hey, you know what? We'll shoot you in the face. But that wasn't their first response, and I think a lot of people get confused when they look at. I would look respectfully. I would say this: what have you personally done to act as an activist? Okay, people of opposing beliefs, their life is activism, right? So
Hmm.
inspect what
That's
you've
because they don't
done.
have a job. They can spend their whole life showing up at places in public.
Yeah, and they may even be funded by some of these
Hmm.
political opposition places. I don't mean to get all crazy on this. I'm just saying that it I would take an inventory of your own actions and see if what you had done prior to a situation. Everyone wants to talk about like, oh, we need to, um, do this and that, whatever, react violently, which I believe is what they want. And I would never, and I don't think any of us would ever call to violence, make a call to violence. What I'm saying is, if you can look your children in the face and say that you did absolutely every single possible thing in your power to avoid something like that, um, then feel free to take that next step. But If you can't, then you can't. Sorry, I know we didn't get into this for this conversation. I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
So I just saw Dave, AR Chief Dave, jump in here, and he's asking, "Hey, what's going on?" And basically, the Supreme Court granted certiorari to the frame and
A
receiver.
writ of certiorari.
Yeah,
Yes.
that.
A writ. A writ of cert. They got cert.
Mhm.
Basically.
So that means the Supreme Court will hear the case, but that's probably not going to be until the fall, and we probably won't hear anything about it until spring of next year or June.
What the steps is when they lost the 3-judge panel and the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, they could have asked for a en banc, which means the full Fifth Circuit would hear it. The issue with that is they were destined to lose there, so they knew that. So they went directly to the Supreme Court. They asked for a stay. The Supreme Court granted the stay. They filed what is called a writ of certiorari. They petitioned the Supreme Court for a writ of certiorari. Basically, petition the Supreme Court, say, "Hey, please hear my case." And the Supreme Court can say, "Well, we're going to deny cert, or we're going to grant cert," which means that they're either going to deny hearing the case or they're going to grant hearing the case. And in this term, they granted hearing the case. And now both sides are going to go to war. They're going to start compiling data, compiling whatever. They're
I
going
can,
to go in front of the Supreme Court, and it's relatively short. It's not like a multi-day thing. It's like an hour, and they're going to say, "This is what we believe. This is what it is." The justices are going to have a chance to ask questions to both the appellate and the other party. So basically, they're going to ask the government questions. They're going to ask the lawyer for the plaintiff's questions. And from there, they're going to say, "Okay, we're going to take this into consideration." And at that point, we should know a little bit. We should have a better feeling where this is going to go. They'll go back. They'll discuss it. The people that the majority, they will file an opinion. You can have concurrent opinions, which means we both agree on the outcome, but we just disagree why. And then the people who don't agree with it on the Supreme Court, the justices that don't agree with the Supreme Court, they'll file what's called a dissent and say, "We disagree with this court's decision, even though we're bound by this court's decision.
Mhm.
Here's a reason why we're disagreeing." The dissent is just them explaining why they didn't disagree, but it's not legally bound. It doesn't bind them to anything. But the majority opinion will bind it.
I cannot wait to start hearing some of the oral arguments from if it's anything like the cargo, bump stock case. It's most of us are going to be sitting back like, what? Unbelievable
Now,
stuff. Real quick, shout out
the
to More Beta Prince. Dark not getting crazy equals still crazy, and Dark is just playing devil's advocate. Yes, and let's be honest, I'm also ready to get it popping. I'm just kidding. Sorry, go ahead.
so when the ATF published this rule, the frame and receiver rule, didn't they say like, "Oh, we're just clarifying something that always has existed"? Was
They're
that the
like,
language
"Whoops,
they used?
we misinterpreted the rule ourselves."
Oh, the ATF is like, "My bad."
Yeah. There is something that is definitely interesting here. One of the things that is interesting is that this is a lot of APA violations.
So Administrative Procedure Act.
Yeah. These agencies cannot make laws. They use Chevron to do that. One of the issues with Chevron is Chevron was supposed to be for civil stuff,
Mhm. Mhm.
and
And obviously ATF
Is
is
it criminal?
majority criminal, not
yeah,
civil.
majority
Yeah.
is not criminal.
Really?
Majority is the majority of the ATF is like
Like
industry side.
cease and desist? Yeah. Really?
Not really cease and desist, but it's more of like
Like
inspection,
regulating industry stuff.
regulate, you know.
Oh, okay.
I could see that. I could see
So
that.
so what bothers me, and I don't know if I'm going to be peeing on the third rail here, but
Usually it says that.
1911s, 80% ARs, 80% AKs, basically every other 80% firearm is okay. It's just Glock pattern that isn't okay.
It polymer basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, not
Yeah,
even
alright, so-
polymer because the MUP one got caught up in that.
So the MUP one that sorry, the MUP one so I figured that because it seemed to me, and I don't even know if we want to go down this route because I don't want to give them any ideas because we know we have some ATF viewers out there. But it seemed to me like what Rich is saying is steel, aluminum, and in most cases where you buy your
no, it's ARs is okay. Flats are okay.
I mean, MUPs would be the closest thing to flats I could
Right.
imagine.
So
If
how do
they
you
were
get the
flat-
camel through the eye of that needle?
If
Yeah.
they were flat, but they're shaped, so you just bend some edges, you know.
Yeah.
Now, if they're flat and you had to bend them into that, then I think they would be okay.
It depends on what your definition of is.
Ooh.
We have the best viewers.
So somehow, if I'm like trying to be a judge and understand the ATF and the
Okay.
writing and their intent on this rule, is they're saying, hey, we messed up on understanding our rules. This rule prohibits plasticky guns, but any other gun is okay.
Okay, what I do want to address this right here.
Yeah.
We won the West Virginia versus EPA
Which was the Chevron.
with the Chevron case. Yes, when that happened, I looked at the decision and I'm like, it was very narrowly tailored where they didn't address almost anything that would be helpful. I called it a shot across the bow of Chevron, but not the death of Chevron, because it only affected that one single case, and it was written so it only affects that one single case. And I think that was the Supreme Court telling them, hey, you know, we're about to pull this. If you keep on doing this crap, we're not going to do it. We're going to give you a chance to fix it. When that decision came out, a lot of people were saying, no, this is the death of Chevron, it's the death of whatever. And if you guys recall, I was like, no, that's not what it is. It's a shot across the bow, definitely, but it's not going to really change anything other than this case. But there have a lot of people that made the decision in that bigger than what I thought it was, and it looks like it is. Yeah. So basically, it was bigger than what I mean. It was smaller than a lot of people blew it out to be.
I think a lot of us thought. Sorry,
Yeah. Gun Day morning quarterback brings up the fisherman case. That case we're involving that's taken on Chevron as well. I can't remember. It's like the National Fishermen's whatever, but I think that's going to have a bigger impact than West Virginia versus EPA. I think they're going to expand that. That's taking on Chevron directly. That's a big case. It has nothing to do with guns, but it will have a rippling effect into the ATF rulemaking.
Yeah, I think a lot of us expected West Virginia versus the EPA to have more of an impact on the way that the ATF was,
I
you know.
told you when before they even came out with that, I said this is not going to be. I hate that I was right, but
C&T
I
Designs
told
and
you, man.
Arms. Shh. Don't give them any ideas, man. Don't give them any ideas. They will run with it.
You don't read that.
I'm not doing anything. I'm not. I did.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Crump, thank you for.
I saw you looking
Crump,
at it.
thank you for explaining this in a way that most people can understand, Crumpy. I appreciate that, and I think that it's important for all of us to follow things like this. And I think it's also important that all of us still prepare for anything that may happen in the same breath. And I don't want people to get confused with my earlier remarks. I think that it's important to prepare in all things because you never know what direction things could go.
Okay, I want to address the BCA because he's asking any thoughts on how to address the BSCA, which is the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which does not actually make us safer. And the reason why that's going to have to take an act of Congress to overturn, or some provisions currently being challenged in court. The quickest way for Congress to overturn it, I don't see them doing that. The provisions being overturned in court, I see that happening, but that's going to be a little bit down the road. You have McRory versus ATF in Texas, which is a GOA case, and Rob is arguing that Rob is actually reading the briefs. Stephen's arguing that, and there's some Keely Flores who worked for JM4 Tactical is on that case too. McQuarrie's, all those cases, all those people might be in this chat right now. Let's put it that way. In that case, that's challenging the BSCA. What gives me the feeling that the ATF knows that they're probably going to lose this case is because when they did the new, business of selling firearms, they said, hey, we're not using the Administrative Procedures Act. We are using the BSCA. Congress has delegated this authority to us to make this rule. And by them stating that over and over and over and over again, they know that at least they think that they have a good chance of losing this case. If that makes you feel any better. But yeah.
Do you have that that audio button where it goes game? No. Okay. Right. I think the Biden Safer Communities Act is a bunch of horse manure, and any time any bill or anything like that is labeled something like rich. What have you said in the past? It's like
Don't put you junk and crazy.
well, no, not just that. If there's a bill and it's like protecting the
Yeah, if it was
homeless
like to love
college
and
students.
care for puppies, there'd be a wood chipper involved.
Yeah. Yep.
And also, if you would do me a big favor out there, guys, if your uncle was not eaten by cannibals, go ahead and hit that thumbs up.
No, it was sharks swimming on the backs of cannibals, or cannibals swimming. I forget.
I don't know.
It
If
was
you don't know
sharp.
what I'm talking about, Biden said that his uncle was eaten by cannibals, and the White House had to walk
Well,
that back.
his uncle was a famous aviator spy engaged in espionage and surveillance of the enemy, doing reconnaissance during World War I in a hot air balloon.
You guys remember it was sharks with freaking laser beams.
All right, with that, I think we've talked about this enough. So
Yeah.
remember, go ahead and hit that like, comment, and subscribe. I thank you all for joining us today. It is a beautiful day out there. Hug your family, do all that good stuff.
Mhm.
And with that, I want to say Flying Rich over there has a contest on flyingrich.com. We also have a new website. We're going to be putting more links on here. We're rolling it out shortly. Where
I
Yeah.
can't say the domain part, the dot something part,
Oh,
right?
you go,
We can't.
if you go to pro2alist dot whatever, just try them all. You can find basically a deal site with the best deals on firearms and accessories, and also it helps out channels like mine, like all of ours.
Yep.
And with
Yep.
that, follow Flying Rich at flyingrich.com, Flying Rich on YouTube, Flying Rich Firearms on YouTube, Flying Rich _official. There, DLD After Dark here, Dark Mavis himself runs a company that is DLD Hardware dot whatever. You can find that where they sell parts, jigs, and all that other good stuff. Also follow them on DLD After Dark. We have a podcast called the Uncensored Podcast on Rumble as well. And you guys all know where to find me.
Yep.
And with that, we are out of here. Thank you so much for watching. And with that, bye.